If the last 4 years have left you unsure about when to buy or sell real estate, well, you're not alone. So, what about this year? Does 2026 look like it's going to be different? Well, today we're going to take a look at exactly that. Straight from CMHC 2026 Housing Forecast for BC. I'm Irene, your local realtor here in my community of Mission, BC, where I've been helping people buy and sell for the last 20 years. And in this video, we're going to cover what's happening with home sales and prices, where interest rates are headed, what the market's likely going to look like for buyers and sellers across the province, and especially here in Mission. We'll look at what current events could change this forecast between now and December. And by the end of this video, I hope you'll have a clearer picture of what 2026 is likely to look like. And it might just help you decide if this is your year to make a move or not. Let's get into it. Now, the overall picture in BC has CMHC forecasting home sales to improve in 2026 compared to 2025. And across Canada, sales are expected to increase about 4%. BC is expected to lead that rebound after experiencing some of the weakest sales in decades. Prices now, those are expected to rise modestly. And Canada average price forecast is saying maybe as much as 2.6% up. Steady gains, not a spike, not a crash. Sales activity will still sit below long-term historical averages, but we will see more movement than last year. Still not back to the levels that we saw prior to the pandemic. Now, Canada's GDP growth is projected at just 0.7% for 2026, and that makes for slower economic growth. That's due to trade uncertainty and soft labor markets that are keeping buyers pretty cautious right now. Now let's talk about new home construction in BC. It has slowed down significantly in 2025, and it is expected to continue to do so in 2026. National housing starts are forecasted at 247,000, and that's down from 259,000 in 2025. But BC specifically is expected to see starts drop to historically weak levels by the end of 2026. And that is due to high construction costs, weak demand, and builders that are hesitant to start new projects. That decline is mainly in condos and apartment buildings, not so much in detached homes. Now, for existing home sellers, this is actually good news. Less new supply is coming onto the market, and that means less competition for your listing. Buyers who want a detached home in Mission aren't going to find a brand new alternative at a better price. And what about interest rates? Well, the Bank of Canada currently sits at an overnight rate of 2.25%. Now, the interest rate did peak at 5.5% in July of 2024, and then the first cuts began October 2024. By October 2025, these rates have now come down to 2.25%, and they've been holding since. Most major banks are forecasting rates to stay around the 2.25% mark through most of 2026. However, some banks think we could nudge slightly higher by year end. If you've been waiting for rates to drop more significantly before you make your move, well, I think that window is largely past. The majority of those cuts have already happened through late 2024 and into 2025. Now, variable mortgage rates are currently sitting at 3.45%, with fixed coming in at about 3.94%. And for the first time in 3 years, variable rates are actually below fixed rates. That's worth knowing if you're financing. Now, the federal government did change mortgage rules in late 2024, and the insured mortgage cap, that's the CMHC insured mortgage cap, has been raised to 1.5 million. Now, understand this is only for first-time buyers, and it is on new construction only. Now, they are offering a 30-year amortizations, and those are available to first-time buyers for resale or a new product. Now, it will lower your monthly payments. It does give you some more purchasing power. Just be aware that over the long run, you will be paying more. So it's worth having a good conversation with your mortgage broker. Now, the mortgage stress test was removed when you switch lenders at renewal, and that does give existing mortgage holders a little bit more breathing room. If you've lost a little bit of income over your renewal time, this is going to be a great help. It's going to ease your mind quite considerably. Now, approximately 1.15 million Canadians are renewing their mortgage in 2026. Many were locked in at pandemic rates of 2% or lower, and they're now facing significantly higher payments. This is pushing some sellers to go onto the market, not by choice, but by necessity. And that's creating a lot of pressure and opportunity for buyers. Now, what this means if you're selling, well, Fraser Valley prices have been soft, and they have come down roughly 5% year over year in most areas. But there are signs that prices are beginning to stabilize. And if they do stabilize, we will see those modest gains through 2026. Nothing dramatic, just small, steady movement upwards if conditions hold. And currently, average days on market in Mission are at about 55 days. Now, that's giving buyers a lot of options. They've got time to think. They've got time to do their due diligence. They know what things are selling for, and they aren't willing to overpay. What this means for sellers is price it accurately from day one. An overpriced listing will sit. It gets stale, and it ends up selling for less than it would have if it were priced correctly from the start. The sellers who are going to do well in 2026, well, they've priced it right. They have a good presentation, and they're flexible. Make it easy for buyers to say yes to the address. If you're wanting to know what this means for your specific property or situation, well, please reach out. I'm local. I'm here in Mission. I know your market, and I've got the straight answers just for you. You can find my contact information in the description box below. Well, in 2026, buyers will have more choice than they've had in years. More homes on the market, less competition, time to actually think before you decide. Don't confuse having more choices with having unlimited time. Nothing lasts forever, folks. In Mission, detached homes are one of the most stable segments right now. Demand continues and prices have largely stabilized. Townhomes and condos are having a harder time, however. More inventory, more competition. We're seeing a lot of new construction with new strata developments popping up all over town. Buyers in this area have options, and sellers need to be sharp on their pricing. Pre-sales are dropping, projects are being canceled, and that's more so in Vancouver and Victoria, not as much here in Mission. But it is pulling down the provincial averages and creating headlines that don't reflect what's really happening here. If you've been waiting for the rates to drop further before buying, well, rates peaked in July 2024, and they have been cut 9 times down to 2.25 where they currently stand. Now, the biggest cuts have already happened. Some of the major banks are actually forecasting that rates could nudge up slightly by the year end. So waiting for further cuts may mean waiting for something that's not actually going to come in, and rates could go the other way. Now let's talk about the rental market. Greater Vancouver vacancy rate more than doubled in 2025. Rental growth is at its slowest rate in over a decade. And CMHC is expecting that this trend will continue in through 2028 as new rental supplies keep entering the market. One of the key reasons demand is staying subdued due to immigration numbers being drastically cut back by the federal government. And fewer new arrivals mean less pressure on both the rental market and overall housing demand. So if you do own a rental property, make sure you're running current 2026 numbers, before making any decisions. Don't be looking at 2022 numbers. That income picture has changed significantly. Mission is reflecting these trends at a smaller scale. More rental options available, more competition amongst landlords. Now, CMHC is including an important disclaimer, and we know day to day the biggest risks right now are in trade tension and tariffs. And if the global trade situation worsens across Canada, sales will slow down, prices will soften again, and this forecast will change. Now, let's look at the good news. BC is better protected than most other provinces. Our economy isn't as heavily based on manufacturing, so tariff impacts will hit less hard than other parts of Canada. The softwood lumber industry could feel some pressure. CMHC is saying that this is mainly a northern and interior BC issue. The lower mainland and south coast, where we are pretty much insulated from that. Now, the upside scenario also exists. If trade tensions ease and the economy stabilizes, buyer confidence will likely move up more quickly, and that pent-up demand will be released sooner than expected. The bottom line, no forecast is guaranteed, and this one is no exception. I want you to plan based on what the data is saying today, but know that world events could change the picture quite quickly in either direction. It's looking like a pretty normal market. Steady, measured, no dramatic highs, no dramatic lows. Sales are improving and prices are stabilizing. Rates are unlikely to move much further in either direction, and that's actually pretty good news because a predictable market is one that you can plan around a lot easier. Now, if you're thinking about buying or selling in Mission this year, reach out. Let's talk. I've got the straight answers for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.